Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, August 15th, 2015. This is episode 1211. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, or other Apple product is worth at Gazelle.com. And by Next Issue, the mobile app that lets you access the world's most popular magazines anytime, anywhere, using your phone or tablet. For your free 30-day trial, visit nextissue.com/techguy. And by Blue Apron. Blue Apron will send you all the ingredients to cook fresh, delicious meals with simple step-by-step instructions right to your door. See what's on the menu this week and get your first 2 meals free by going to blueapron.com/twit. That's blueapron.com/twit. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, smartphones, home theater, digital photography, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo's the number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you may reach us by Skype. You know, just Skype out, something like that. Some form of VoIP. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Website, techguylabs.com. I say that now so that if you hear something you don't want to miss out on, techguylabs.com, you can go there and find out everything I spoke about today. techguylabs.com. Sitting in for the phone ranger today, Kim Schaffer is here. Hello, Kim. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Let us speak about many things. Let's speak about Volkswagen, who for 2 years now has known that they're the locks on my car. I'm taking this personally. My car, I have an Audi, weren't really doing anything important that they could. This is an interesting attack. We've heard about these keyless entry systems and how they're vulnerable. How with an amplification attack, your fob can actually let a bad guy into your car. Do you have one of those cars where you walk up to it and you just open the door and it goes chunk because it sees you're there and it knows it's you because you have, and if you don't have your fob in your pocket, it doesn't work. And those same cars, most of them, you just press a button, they start up. It's a keyless ignition. A lot of modern cars have that. We've mentioned before how there's an attack, an $18 device you can buy on eBay that the bad guy stands next to the car, and if your fob is near enough, and like it could be, I think, hundreds of feet away. It has to be somewhat close, but not completely, right next to the car. See, the car normally says, oh, it can only go a certain distance. Oh, I can only see the key if you're within, say, 5 feet. But this amplification attack, guy stands next to the car, amplifies the car's signal so that it can reach your fob. The car says, I see the fob in somebody's pocket in the office down the street. That bad guy can get in the car, can ransack it, and can even start it. Well, there's another attack that's been kept secret. Researchers discovered this attack 2 years ago, and the Volkswagen Group sued and got an injunction in court to prevent the publication. So nobody knew about it. This is an unusual form of security. In the biz, they call it security through obscurity. As long as no one knows, we're safe. You just hope nobody else discovers it. Turns out the attack is not super easy. I would guess, although we don't know exactly, because even with the published account, which now is out after 2 years, they agreed to remove one critical line about how the attack happens. But what you could deduce from what they did release is that the encryption that protects the signal from the fob to the car is perhaps not all it should be. Not completely random is often the case. And if it's not completely random, these bad guys can sit there, capture a little bit of the traffic between your fob and your car. If they get a little bit of it, like a couple of readings, then they can quickly, within, say, 30 seconds, try a number of other combinations and open the door. So this is another attack. The problem with this attack is it's a little bit harder to fix than the fob amplification attack. I could fix the fob amplification attack. I just put it in my, I have a little Faraday cage. You could put it in a metal box, T-tin. I have a little bag with, wire mesh fabric. And then the amplification attack doesn't work. The problem with this attack is it requires a hardware fix, both on the key and the transponder, and that's going to be expensive. And I think that's probably what Volkswagen told the judge and how they got the injunction, Your Honor. It doesn't just affect Volkswagens and Audis and Rovers, and they make a lot of different cars. Turns out that key thing, the thing where you stick a key in a hole and you turn it, who knew? That's pretty secure. That's a little better. The idea of this system, when Volkswagen introduced it, was it would prevent hot wiring a car. Without the fob, your car can't be hot wired. Brilliant, what? Yeah, except it wasn't brilliantly implemented. And this is one of the things that security folks, my guy Steve Gibson is my security guru, tells me all the time, is that security, particularly cryptography, is a science that is well understood, but people who don't completely understand it, as in just, programmers, shouldn't try to understand it or try to write their own code because they aren't really equipped to do so. The problem is they think they are. There's nothing more dangerous than a geek who thinks, oh, I get it, this is easy. You've experienced that probably in your own life. The kid comes over from next door and says, oh yeah, I can fix your computer. Types real fast and then leaves your computer in a not a great state. Oh, anyway, there's nothing really you can do, I don't think, about this. I'm going to continue to store my key fob in a baggie. A baguette is what Mr. Gibson calls it. A little wire mesh bag. You can find them online. I just got, because and it's only a matter of time. We're all getting those chip-based credit cards, right? The card. Have you gotten yours? You have to. Your company will have to, or your credit card company will have to send it to you by, I think, October is the deadline. So you'll get it in the next month or so. They call it a chip and sign card. Now in the rest of the world, it's chip and pin. This chip holds information, more than a mag stripe, including a PIN number. And you can't use the credit card without the physical card and the PIN number, kind of like your ATM. The chip and sign in the United States is a compromise. You still sign your name, and that's still considered sufficient. Okay, I guess it's harder to duplicate these chip and PIN cards. That's the... Anyway, this is a whole class of radio IDs. Your passport has an RFID tag in it. And I just got this wallet. The wallet has, it's got metal in the sides of the wallet that protect against RFID attacks. Now, I don't know of any against credit cards. The idea is that RFID is supposedly, and these pins as well, you have to be very close to the receiver, the radio, like on top of it, you're almost touching it. So that means somebody just can't pick it up walking by. On the other hand, we've seen that. In fact, people are a little nervous about RFID in passports because it can identify you as a U.S. citizen in a foreign land. That could be dangerous. So people recommend passport wallets that have metal sheathing. Actually, people recommend something illegal as well, which is microwaving your passport, which fries the chip. But the federal government says that's a crime, so don't do that. But I got this wallet, and it's got little, it's called Slim Fold. There's a lot of them, though, if you look. An RFID protective bag or baggie will also protect you from the key fob lock exploit, the amplification exploit. So more and more, I mean, we're carrying devices around that radiate. Of course, nothing more than your phone. Your phone announces your presence pretty clearly, loud and clear. And yes, we're learning about more NSA deals with the phone company. Is privacy dead? I don't know. 8888 Ask Leo. We can talk about that. I can help you with your technology. That's what I'm here for. Give me a ring. Let's talk. Phone's next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. We've got Kim Schaffer in the house answering the calls. Hi, Kim.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. I was laughing at your Facebook post.
Oh, which one?
Well, you sneezed and threw your back out or something?
Yes.
Are you feeling better?
I am. I think I just pulled a muscle, but I said, if this is not a sign of aging, I don't know what it is.
You can throw your back out with anything. The back is a strange beast. Who should I talk to today?
How about Billy in Laguna Beach? He has Adobe Flash Player error messages popping up and interrupting everything he's doing, and he just doesn't know how to get rid of them.
I hate that Adobe Flash Player error thingy. Hey, Billy.
Hey, I know you've warned us for years about Adobe Flash, and now here it comes. So anyway, I get these unhandled errors, 2044, 2048, 2060. And so I uninstalled Flash Player and reinstalled it, and it actually got worse. It added 2 new ones. So help me.
Geez. This is why error messages really annoy me, because what are you supposed to do with unhandled exception error 202302? What are you supposed to do with that? Call Adobe and say, hey, I got 20. The best you can do is Google it, and maybe somebody else has the same error and has a fix. My current solution to the Flash conundrum is to not install Flash, but to use Google's Chrome browser instead, which comes with Flash. And Chrome protects you. It won't run Flash unless it's the most up-to-date version, which is very important. An out-of-date Flash is dangerous because Flash has so many flaws. Bad guys attack stuff that goes on the internet. Flash goes on the internet, so they try to find errors in Flash and take advantage of them. So it's very important to keep Flash up to date. So I use Chrome. The other thing Chrome does that's important for security reasons, it isolates Flash in a tab. It does something we call sandboxing it. I'm not sure why. You did the right thing, which is uninstall and reinstall, and you'd hope that Flash is installing everything it needs to work properly. Sounds to me like it's not Flash, by the way. It sounds to me like it's something that uses Flash that's crashing.
So now installing Windows 10 will not do anything, right?
It might. You know, probably. What browser are you using right now?
I'm using Firefox.
So, and you're using the latest?
Yes.
Okay. And that's where the errors crop up. So look and see if you have any Firefox extensions. You want to see what starts up with Firefox, because if something that's poorly written that uses the real fear, of course, is that there's something trying to run and Flash, and trying to take advantage of errors in Flash to attack you. So that's the thing to worry about. But the good news is it's crashing. But malware is often poorly written.
I use Malwarebytes and the Windows Defender on Windows 8.1, and I'm ready to reinstall or install 10.
10 might fix it. You just don't know. What's happening is it's calling. So the error you're getting just is it could be a missing DLL. It's calling a routine that's not finding. It says, and so it just says, I can't go on. Flash is intact because you reinstalled it. So it's something, I would guess it's something not Flash, something that's trying to load Flash that itself is crashing. because things that run in Flash are not programs, the error comes to you through Flash. So try going to 10, see if it gets better. That's not going to replace Flash. In fact, the best thing to do would be install 10 as a clean install and then reinstall your programs and files.
So I should get a backup drive and just...
That'd be the best thing. First thing to do is do the upgrade, because Microsoft has its own Flash player that it uses, and that might help. I use Chrome.
Sites,
huh?
Will it work on the same sites as the ones that I use now that I'm using Flash for?
Yeah, Flash is. Oh. Yes, it's just a Microsoft version of it.
Gotcha.
Flash is Flash. Somebody's saying that there may be known issues with Flash Player 18 and Firefox. That's kind of interesting. That's kind of intriguing.
Well, I'm going to try Chrome then. I like that idea.
I love Chrome, and and then just delete Flash. The nice thing about Chrome is it keeps it up to date, and it won't run it if it's not up to date. So when you upgrade Chrome, it upgrades the Flash at the same time.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah. In fact, I think Firefox 41 Flash is on its way out, and that's partly because of security, partly because it's bloated, partly because Apple, Steve Jobs didn't like it. Steve Jobs had a little bit of a thing against Adobe, and you don't know if it was this or many moons ago, he and Adobe, Apple and Adobe, got a little scrap. And what was it? I can't remember what it was. Adobe killed a program that maybe it was they stopped making Premiere for Macintosh, something like that. That's back, but at the time, and Jobs got really angry and said, "I'll show you." Bought the program that eventually became Final Cut. But that was many moons ago. He did write a letter on the front page of Apple, also many moons ago, several years ago, saying why we won't use Flash on iOS. And the latest versions of Macs don't come with Flash, but you can install them. But you can't install them on an iPhone or an iPad. So sites that use Flash are increasingly moving away from it. Not a bad thing. There are better, safer replacements, and I think that's the reason. Let's see. Matthew on the line from Encino, California. Hi, Matthew.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. A little bit frustrated.
Uh-oh. What's the matter?
Well, I bought myself a brand new MacBook Pro after my old computer it's an 08 MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
So it had a good run.
Yeah. No, it's time. 7 years later. Yeah.
Yeah. It's time to upgrade.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to migrate the data from the old computer to the new computer. Unfortunately, it has all kinds of different, cable configurations.
Yes.
So they don't.
In the old days,
very well.
You had target disk mode through FireWire, but your new computer doesn't have FireWire. You can use an Ether. You could try this. Use an Ethernet cable because both have Ethernet, right? Well, actually, your new one may not. You might have to buy an Ethernet dongle.
Right. I think I have to buy an Ethernet dongle. It plugs into Thunderbolt, or it plugs into a USB port or something.
Yeah.
Is that the fastest? Will it still be as fast?
No, the fastest would be FireWire to Thunderbolt. And you can get FireWire to Thunderbolt adapters. And then put the old computer in target disk mode, which basically says, you're not a computer, you're a hard drive. I'm just a hard drive. And it'll mount on your new computer and you can copy stuff over. That's the easiest way to do that. Can't do it with USB. It needs to be a peer-to-peer system like Thunderbolt, FireWire, or Ethernet. So you'll need to figure out some way to get that into one into the other. You know what I'm saying? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Scott Wilkinson, our home theater geek, has the day off today, so I'll just go right back to the phones. I can answer home theater questions, not as maybe perhaps as authoritatively as Mr. Wilkinson, but I got a few home theater things. I understand how it works. Alan, Washington, D.C., you're next. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. How you doing?
Cool. Awesome. So I'm a fairly advanced tech computer user, person, geek, whatever. And I just installed Windows 10, and I'm installing it on my family members' computers as well. And I'm getting a question from a lot of them. They know that Windows 10, like Windows 8 before it, includes antivirus, right? So they want to know, is there any reason for them to put on a third-party antivirus client?
You know, Google just did a great study, a security white paper, and you can give them this to bolster what I am about to tell you. It was actually kind of fascinating. 7 things computer and security experts do to stay safe online that normal people don't do. The number one thing normal people said that they should do for security is run an antivirus. At no point did the computer security experts mention that. In fact, when asked, they said, well, it kind of gives you a false sense of security.
Yeah.
The reason is a couple of things. One thing has changed, which is the prevalence of what we call zero-day exploits. Exploits that spread so fast. You know, in the early days of viruses, they spread because somebody gave you a floppy disk, right? Or maybe they emailed you an attachment that you opened. But increasingly, these viruses spread over the internet in a matter of hours. And of course, an antivirus takes a while to be updated. So what if you have an antivirus, the computer experts, the security experts fear that you'll say, oh, I'm safe. I don't have to worry. And in many cases, the most dangerous flaws are the ones that are spreading right now, brand new, the AV doesn't know about. So, and here's the other side of that. Windows 10 comes with Microsoft Defender, their antivirus. It's built in. So you don't, I think there's no need for a third-party antivirus at this point. There are some things a third-party antivirus does, like scan attachments before you mail them, things like that. But really, the most important thing people can do is update. I'll give you what the security experts say. This is what, you know, the security experts say. Update your system, number one. And actually, I would say update anything that goes online, not just your system, but anything that goes online should be updated. It's interesting because the security experts do use antivirus, but in a far less proportion than regular people. And they know that the antivirus isn't protecting them as much as the normal user might think. The update is much more important, and that means updating not just Windows, which now with Windows 10 will automatically update. You don't have a choice. You could defer it, but that you don't have any choice if you take the free update. But also update anything that goes on the internet, especially browsers. That's why Firefox and Chrome now automatically update without you even doing anything. Flash, that's a big problem. Shockwave, also from Adobe. Adobe Reader. These 3 programs are often launched by browsers automatically. You go to a site with a PDF, the browser says, I can't read this, but I see you have Reader. Let me open that. And bam, you're infected. All the antivirus can do at that point is wait for an update, download the update, scan it, say, oh, you have an infection. By then, it's too late. So an antivirus, you can tell them you got one. You got one. You got Windows. That's fine. It's a good antivirus. Here's more important. Update, update, update. Number 2 is use two-factor authentication.
Right.
So especially with your email account, that's when I use Gmail, I set up my Google account for two-factor. That means I need a password, and then I need a code, which I can get either from the Google Authenticator program or via text message. That means it's harder for a bad guy to steal it. And the reason email is a target for bad guys is because that's where all your password recovery emails go. And so if a bad guy wants to get your Twitter account, he just says, oh, I forgot my password. Could you mail it to me? Twitter sends him a password recovery link. They recover it, you put in their own password, and you've lost your Twitter account. So it's very important to turn on two-factor, especially for email. It's a little less convenient, but you can help them because you're a sophisticated user. You're probably already using two-factor.
Nope.
You're not?
I know I am.
Oh, you are. Good. So show them how. It's a little hard, but show them how to do it. It will make a huge difference, especially in those critical accounts, banking and email. The third thing they say is use a password manager. That's challenging. But really, it's very important. I taught my mom, she's 83, how to use LastPass. It can be done. So that's a good idea. At least help them with passwords and help them to understand they should never reuse passwords. And then they'll say, well, how am I going to remember them? And that's when you say password manager. Because reusing passwords is the number 4 thing security experts say watch out for. So those are really the most important things. Antivirus is way down on the list.
Gotcha.
I'll put a link in the show notes to this Google study. It's they presented it at Usenex this year, and it's a great little study of the difference between normal people and the security conscious, the security informed.
Well, that's one less task for me to do. So
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome. Your task's a little harder though. Teach them how not to get viruses, right?
Yeah, yep. Yeah.
No, you don't need an antivirus, but here's what you must. I call it safe computing. Teach them safe computing. But you know what? You can do it. They want to be safe. They're motivated. Now's a really good time when there's all this these scare stories coming out from the hacker conferences, which just ended, Black Hat and DEF CON. There's lots of scare stories. So now's a really good time to jump on that and say, I can help you. It's going to take you some time. You're going to have to spend a little time. It took me an hour plus a few follow-up calls to get LastPass working with my mom. It's so worth it. So worth it. And thank you, Alan, for doing that. You're doing your family a favor. David, Texas, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, David.
Hello. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm all right, I think.
What can I do for you?
Well, first of all, I want to let you know how much I learned watching y'all on Tech TV.
Thank you.
How much I missed that. But anyway.
Well, now, wait a minute. Now, you don't need to miss it because, I did this thing called Twit. Just
right.
Google
Well, see,
TWIT, and we even have a new show called The New Screensavers, which is a tech variety show, and we cover a lot of stuff. So I think we've tried to, as best we can. I mean, I don't have the $50 million a year that Paul Allen had, reproduce much of the value of Tech TV. So check out Twit.
I did. I learned that when I saw you on the Nerdist podcast.
Yeah, you heard me on with Chris. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Anyway, so I've been watching you ever since.
Right on.
Anyway,
I feel bad because Chris says at the end of the show, as he does to everybody, what do you want to plug? And I said, I don't have anything to plug.
Sure.
I should have mentioned Twit and the new Screensavers, but there you go.
The description on the show mentioned Twit.
Thank you, Chris Hardwick. Thank you, Nerdist, for doing that. I'm not so good at self-promotion, I'm afraid.
But that's not why I called.
Oh, it's not? Okay, what can I do for you?
Well, okay. On my toolbar at the bottom on the desktop, it popped up the Windows thing about the upgrading to Windows.
Yes.
Anyway, so when I clicked on it, it comes up there and says my NVIDIA GeForce PCX 5300 is not compatible.
Okay, so
I want to look at new computers. No, I want to get a card that'll work.
Yeah, no, you don't even do that. It won't be long before it's made compatible.
Oh, okay.
So just wait, and in fact, that little thing will tell you, oh, we've got a new driver. It's up to NVIDIA to make new drivers. And once those drivers propagate to the various manufacturers and Microsoft, they'll give you a thumbs up. And I think that's really good that they said, don't install it yet. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask
Oh,
Leo.
my God. It's the most frustrating thing
What's
ever.
the matter? What's the matter? I hear you. Do you have a problem, Kim Schaffer? She sounds like she's in trouble. No. We put these big panes of glass between you and me for one reason only. So you can't throw things at me.
Yeah, no, I was talking to a caller, and and I didn't realize my
You
mic was
pushed
on.
the button.
Somehow, yeah.
You pushed the button. All right, well, go back to work, and I shall talk to Ray in Oceanside, California. Hi, Ray. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Lee, thank you for taking my call. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
I am 54 years old, and just recently, 2 months ago, got my first smartphone, and my friend bought me a tablet, a Pro 10, RCA Pro 10 tablet, and I'm looking how I can, like, when I'm on the ocean on the boat, or if I'm not directly where, like, say, a facility that provides Wi-Fi, what can I do to communicate so when I'm out in the water fishing or whatever so I can check all my charts and stuff?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes.
It's only going to work if you can get internet, obviously. And if you're near the coast, you should be able to get cell phone internet. Can you get cell phone signal out there while you're fishing?
Some of the areas, no.
So if you can't get a cell phone signal, you won't get any internet. I mean, unless you want to put a satellite dish on your boat, but I don't think you really want to do that.
No, sir.
That's what cruise ships and others do. They're marine satellites, and of course, there's Hughes has satellites, and Wild Blue, Exceed. But that would be more like a bigger boat, not a fishing boat. So basically what you could do is, at least while you can get a cell signal, you can get internet access, either by tethering your phone. A lot of phones will allow you to share their Wi-Fi, share their internet access via Wi-Fi. That's called tethering. And now usually that requires a cooperation of your carrier, and often carriers will charge you an extra $20 a month or thereabouts. But that might be worth it if you need it.
Is there something that I could buy from an electronics store that I could, like a pen drive or something that I could, pay outright, let's say $150 or whatever it is, and then
here's one thing you can get. You can get, there's another, if you don't want to use your phone as a tethering device, I'm trying to save you a little money. You can buy something that will act as a Wi-Fi access point using data from the cellular networks. We used to call those MiFi cards. That was the original brand, but there's lots of these little things. They're credit card-sized devices. They get internet access via 3G or 4G. Again, they won't work if there's no cell signal, but they will work if you can get a cell signal. And then they become themselves Wi-Fi access points that you can attach up to 5 devices to. I just bought one. This was a Kickstarter project called the Karma Go. And I don't remember how much it was. I think $100. But this is good because you pay as you go on this. Almost all the other systems require you to put a SIM card in it and pay a carrier a monthly fee for it. It's yourwarkarma.com, and you buy the Karma Go, and that will give you, it's just a little tiny little like flattened hockey puck. And that'll give you internet access, and then you pay. It's a little more expensive than if you were subscribing. But since you only pay for what you use, it might be a better deal. It's $15 a gigabyte. $15 a gigabyte, which is a lot. Now, negative on this, it's Sprint. So if you don't get good Sprint coverage when you're out there on the fishing hole, you got to figure out what national carrier, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, or what local carrier gives you the best signal out there. And then you can go to them and buy it, but you'll pay a monthly fee for that. So there you go. Or you can, get a satellite phone and pay $5 a megabyte. Why not? No, I think this is probably the most affordable way. I haven't received my Karma Go yet. I'll give you a review. It's the same thing, but it does require Sprint. So if you're not in a Sprint area, might not be a good choice. Pay as you go is smart, though, right? You don't have a monthly fee. Hey, we've got an update on the video card question from Alan that I took a minute ago. A number of people in the chat room are saying some of the older NVIDIA cards will not be updated to take advantage of DirectX 12, and Microsoft says they're not going to support anything that won't support at least DirectX 10 on Windows 10. If that's the case, I don't know if it's Microsoft or NVIDIA or what. If that's the case, then you might indeed need a new video card. And you can go to Newegg or your local, the local Fry's, whatever's nearby, and get video cards are fairly cheap. You don't need to spend $150, $200 on a high-end video card unless you have high-end gaming needs. I would say, for $40 or $50, you can get a card that'll be compatible with Windows 10 easily, and probably good enough. Tim is in San Diego, our next caller. Hi, Tim.
Hey, Leo.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, long-time listener, first-time caller. Thanks for taking the call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Hey, so I'm looking to put an alarm in my house, and I'm trying to decide between, using something, with the wireless devices, with drop cam and all the kind of remote app stuff versus going with, a more traditional ADT or, where they come in and do it for yourself. I'm fairly tech savvy, but I just don't know how far the kind of do-it-yourself wireless home alarm setups have come. Is it worth doing it myself?
Well, when you go to a service like ADP, you're mostly paying for the monitoring.
Right.
Right? So they're monitoring it, and they're monitoring motion, and if an alarm goes off, they call you, say, I see motion down at the business. But of course, that costs a monthly fee. It could cost more, too. You can do it yourself. The reason people use wireless is because they don't want to put Ethernet wires in the wall and string it all around. That's why we use wireless cameras, but we do our own thing. We don't use a monitoring service. We use a Synology system that records to a hard drive. I can't remember how many cameras we've got, 7 or 8. And we can go online. They're still online. We can review it and stuff, but when you're reviewing it, you're going to our hard drive in the studio. You know, either way, it's expensive to buy the stuff. Not having a monthly monitoring fee saves you money. And then, you know, it depends. Do you want to pay for an installer or do you feel comfortable doing it yourself? I like drop cams. They're wireless. All you need to do is have power. That's a lot easier than getting, you know, Ethernet. They use your Wi-Fi. They use a lot of Wi-Fi, something to be aware of. It's fine if you're not around. They can have all of the bandwidth you've got, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I have 1 or 2 drop cam cameras.
But you already know.
I don't use them as an alarm service, but, you know, when I'm gone, you know, I want to get to the point where, you know, if my wife's home alone, we have like a panic feature, which is one of the nice parts about the monitor.
Well, that's it. That's what I have as well, because, yeah, you push the buttons and they call the police immediately, and, you know, that's what you pay for with the service, and there's a lot to be said for that. Do it yourself. It may save you some money. It saves you that monthly fee for sure. But if what you want is somebody watching over you, yeah, you can't beat it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today brought to you by Gazelle. It's that crazy season, isn't it, where all the new stuff is coming out, the new phones. How many new phones already have been announced? Samsung announced 2. Motorola announced 3. OnePlus announced 1. That's 3, 2, 6. New Apple phone coming out in less than a month. 7, 8, maybe 9. And if it's time for you to get a new phone, this is a wonderful time of year. But then you might wonder, well, but what do I do with the old phone? That's where Gazelle is so great. GAZELLE.com. Gazelle will pay you top dollar for your old device. In fact, as long as you're going to Gazelle.com, get a quote on your current phone. You say, I don't have the new phone. Don't worry, your quote's locked in for 30 days. It's always good to get a quote now, because your phone price is going, you know, even in 30 days, it could go down quite a bit, especially since the new phones are coming out, right? So go there now, GAZELLE, get quotes on all your devices. And you have up to 30 days to take advantage of it. Once you decide to, they'll send you a box with prepaid postage on it. They pay the postage on anything worth more than $1. They'll turn it around fast. In fact, if you forget to wipe the data, or you can't, because they do buy broken iPhones and iPads, they'll wipe it for you. And they will even sometimes, this has happened to me, upgrade your offer. It's happened to me twice now. They said, you know, that's a better, they quote me, I think, $30 for an iPhone, what was it, 4S or 5? I can't remember now. And then when I sent it to them, they said, this is in much better shape than you said. We're going to give you like $130. I said, what? You don't have to do that, but you're going to do that? That's why I love Gazelle. They also, this is new, they sell pre-owned devices at Gazelle. Certified pre-owned iPhones or Android devices. I love Gazelle. Take a look at the Buy Certified program. When you're buying certified pre-owned devices from Gazelle, I could have done this for my kid broke his iPhone 5. I could have gotten him an iPhone 6 for $499. Now they have 2 qualities: a certified like new, that's basically new. I wouldn't have gotten them that. I would have saved a little more and get the certified good, because those just show a little sign of wear. You know, it's not they're all in perfect condition, because they have to go through that 30-point inspection to make sure they're fully functional. And, of course, they're backed by a 30-day risk-free return policy, so you're never at risk. To buy or sell, it's got to be Gazelle. 2 million people, actually 1 million people have sold over 2 million devices worth over $200 million to Gazelle. It's a no-brainer. Just write it down, and when it's time to sell your old stuff, go to Gazelle. When it's time to buy new stuff, go to Gazelle. GAZELLE. Sell and buy your gadgets the fast and simple way with Gazelle.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones, smart watches, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can also reach us on the website, techguylabs.com. You'll find a link there to the chat room. Always a lot of fun. Community runs it and does a great job. 633 people in there right now. Helping. Actually, most of the people who are in there are actually helping me answer questions. So that's great. And a few of them are asking questions. techguylabs.com. Let's see. Should I guess I could talk a little bit about the fact that we are now in a holding pattern because the new phones are here. The new phones are here. Apple will announce its new phones August 8th or 9th. That's pretty much when it always, did I say August? September 8th or 9th. That's pretty much when it always does. It was September 9th last year. It would logically be September 8th this year. And we are pretty sure that the new phone will be very, very similar indeed to the phone that the current Apple iPhone, the 6 and the 6 Plus. There is a rumor that there'll be a 6C as well, a color back inexpensive or less expensive version of the 6. They did that with the 5, remember? And they didn't do it with the 5S, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I guess it could. This would be the time to do it, right? We also expect a few new features. There'll be a faster processor. That's always the case. Probably the A9. It's just a name. Doesn't really matter. Faster processor. This new Force Touch feature that you find on the Apple Watch is likely part of the new screen. That means I don't know what it means. I mean, I know how it works on the MacBooks and on the watch. I'm not sure how it would work on a phone. The idea is you touch the screen to do some things, right, to drag and so forth. If you push harder, that's the Force Touch, it does something else. And I have yet to find this particularly useful or intuitive. Frankly, it's a little confusing on the MacBooks. I have it on both the MacBook Pro and the new little MacBooks, and I don't use it because I don't know what's going to happen. And it's just confusing. It kind of gets in the way. You accidentally force touch, things like that. So we'll see. Maybe a better camera or some improvements in the camera. They're due to get a few more pixels in the camera. They only are 8 megapixels. Almost all the Android phones now are at least 13 megapixels. The higher-end Android phones they compete with. So there'll be a few improvements, but nothing to write home about, nothing you need to get in line for. Meanwhile, all the Android device makers are rushing their new phones out, but they want to get out before Apple comes out. New Galaxy Note 5 was announced this week, as well as a new Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. Kind of very similar hardware, the Note 5 and the Edge 6S Edge. S6 Plus, you know. The S6 Edge Plus. Very similar hardware, just a little bit different. These are nice phones, pretty. Big screens, 5.7-inch screens, both of them. One has more curvy edges. That's pretty much the difference. Oh, and the Note 5 will also have, as other Notes have, a stylus. Some people like that. I ordered the Note 5. We'll see. I'll have that for you probably by next show, maybe if not the week after. New Motorola's. I mentioned last week the Moto G, which is a great deal at $200-some bucks. A very nice phone with all-day battery life easily, and that's important. What I find on the newer phones is battery life is lacking. And I've got to have look, this is what I expect. This is the baseline. Get up in the morning, 7 o'clock, 6 or 7 o'clock, go to bed at 10 or 11 o'clock. Phone should have it, a little bit left by that time. So what is that, 15 or 16 hours? It's got to have that. If it doesn't go for 16 hours between charges, it seems to me it's just a non-starter. And I've put up with it from a number of phones. The Moto G does do this. The OnePlus folks are coming up with a new OnePlus 2. That was the best battery life of the high-end phones last year. That had 20 hours pretty consistently for me. I would be very interested when we'll take a look. That has finally a fingerprint reader. I think also at this point a requisite. It's once you get a fingerprint reader, you don't want to go back. It's so nice to be able to unlock the phone, to use it for payments, and just to guarantee that this is your phone. And of course, the Apple iPhone 6 has it. So does the OnePlus 2. So do the Samsung phones. The Motorola's do not. There are 2 new Motorola. Actually, besides the G, there's one other new Motorola phone, the Moto X Pure. But I'll get it. I'll let you know. Big screen again, 5.7. Boy, most of the companies are, I guess, thinking you want big screens. So we'll just keep an eye on these things. It probably would be prudent if you're an iPhone user to wait just to see. Maybe there is some magic dust. If not, then you'll save more money by buying the old phone, right? The iPhone 6 should be reduced in price, as Apple typically does. Price becomes more important now because both Verizon and T-Mobile, and I think soon Sprint and AT&T, have stopped subsidizing phones. So that $200 price for a new phone really was never the real price. They billed the rest of it. Most of them are $700, $600, $700, $800. You can get an iPhone, if you get the top of the line iPhone 6 Plus, very close to $1,000 for that phone. What? But people still didn't know that because of the subsidies, which weren't really subsidies, because a subsidy implies you don't have to pay for it, and you do. They just spread it out over the 2-year contract you're required to sign. Now they're going to make that explicit. This is what the phone costs. T-Mobile and Verizon both will do this. This is what the phone costs. You can buy it outright, or you can pay over a period of 2 years, 24 months. And if you decide to leave, well, you'll have to pay it off the minute you leave. That's kind of the same thing, but it's explicit, which I think is good. Don't know yet what phone will be my pick for the best of the new litter. I'm using the Moto G right now because while it sacrifices a little bit in camera quality and screen quality, it's just I just love the battery life. Let's see, it's been running since, what do I got now? It's been running since I guess 7 this morning, and it's still at 72%, 5 hours in. That's good. It's going to get me through the day. And that's with pretty heavy use. I'm unusual. I'm on my phone a lot. Maybe that's not so unusual. Some of that, of course, will vary. I mean, you may not get as good battery life as I do. If you're in an area with a weak cell signal, for instance, the phone has to work harder. So we shall see. I'm very intrigued by these new phones, and you know me. I feel obligated, I do, to buy them all. So I have a OnePlus 2 on order. I have a Note 5 on order. I might pass on the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. Did I get that right? I might pass on that one because it's very much like the Note 5 with just no stylus and a curvy screen. I think I can review both with one. Okay, is that all right with you? Moto X, as soon as that's available, I'll order that. And I do right now the Moto G. You know what? If you're price sensitive, you want to spend between $200 and $230 on a phone, and that's the full price out the door outright, and you don't care if it's got the latest, greatest Whopper to Judy's Beluti. It doesn't have a fingerprint reader, for instance. This is a great phone. I am very impressed by this. 8888 Ask Leo. We could talk about that. I'm curious what you think of the Apple Watch. I'm starting to think this thing's a flop. Let me know. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Back to the phones we go. Richard, West L.A. Hello, Richard.
Hi, Leo. Good to talk.
Good to talk to you.
I have a Nexus 7 2013 model, I think. It's the later of the two that came out.
I have one right in front of me.
I use TuneIn Pro very often.
Love it.
I record with it. BBC plays. And when I do that, I turn off the Wi-Fi so I don't get any interference. Because in the past, Wi-Fi used to come through.
Really? You'd hear bzzz, bzzz or something like that?
Say again, please?
You'd hear bzzz, bzzz, bzzz in the recording?
Yeah, or it stops altogether.
Ah, all right.
But the problem is, I've been doing this for a long time. Just 2 days ago, I couldn't turn the Wi-Fi back on again.
Hey.
I called Google. We spent a great deal of time. Nice guy, but we never solved the problem.
You reset it and all of that?
I didn't reset it because if I reset it,
you lose everything, right? But you did turn it all the way off and all the way on again.
Oh, in fact, we even went to safe mode just to see if it was working, and it was working fine.
It works in safe mode.
But I couldn't go back to it when I...
Okay, well, you know what that means. That tells you that's a valuable piece of information. I'm sure the guy on the line told you that. Safe mode, much like safe mode on Windows, runs Android with none of the apps running.
Right.
And none of the extensions. So that tells me that something you've installed on that thing is causing the problem.
But why do you think it would happen all of a sudden? Because literally for a couple of years, this was fine.
Maybe you installed something and it updated itself.
Is it best to go back to TuneIn Pro to see if they have any suggestion?
They might. It sounds like it's more a device issue. If you turn off the Wi-Fi in the device settings,
right,
and you can't turn it back on, I don't see why TuneIn would have anything to do with that. It might. I mean, as any app might. It sounds to me like something's going on. You've got all the latest updates, I presume.
Oh, yes. As soon as I turn it on, it updates itself.
Yeah, people have been having... People do have... I mean, this thing isn't a spring chicken. People have been having problems with it. I don't really use it for anything except an in-house clock, so I know when to stop talking. But it's on all the time for that reason. I'm sitting it on a wireless charger, and it just is constantly running.
Yeah.
And Wi-Fi, I don't turn it off, but let me just turn it off and see if I can turn it back on. Ooh, look, I have an Android system update. That's probably the stage fright update because it's only 10 megabytes.
That came through a little while ago.
Yeah, I haven't installed it yet. I'm going to install it right now. That's the thing to do is see, well, what changed before this happened and see if there was a system update that happened or you downloaded, installed a program, or maybe a program updated before it happened. But it may also be just a physical hardware issue that,
Anyway, you can think of getting around that?
Well, I mean, the next step would be to uninstall any programs you don't use.
Right.
If you've got, I mean, you look at the settings. If you can't fix it that way, you're probably going to want to do a clean, restart.
Right.
Reset the thing, see if that fixes it. My guess is it would.
My problem with that is, I thought of that a little while ago. About 2 months ago, I was in touch with a TuneIn Pro because another device I have, which is, and it's on that, is only the basic model, and I had paid for it. They couldn't find my record. We spent a huge amount of time. I even spoke to someone at the upper level, so to speak, and he couldn't find my record either, that I'd actually paid for it all.
Well, now you have.
Well,
I mean, normally with Lollipop, and that's what you're running, the most recent version of Android, right before in that section where it says backup and reset, right before it is back it up. And what it backs up is settings, information, and about all the apps you have. And it's pretty easy to get back where you were. You could plug the device into a computer and copy all the podcasts or whatever recordings you had on there you don't want to lose.
Right.
I wipe my Android devices frequently.
Do you?
Yeah. So it's not completely painless, but it's not super painful either. Now, one caution is I wouldn't re-download all your apps. That is one of the settings. You can do that until you verify that the Wi-Fi is working. And then if it is working, the on-off is working now, then it's not a hardware issue. It was something weird in the system. This is going to fix all of that. And then you can start to reinstall your apps and see if any of them break it.
If I do the reset, do all my pictures and all the rest of that stuff get...
if you're having them backed up, you won't lose them. Like I back up all my photos to Google Photos.
Right.
But you will wipe them out, yeah. In fact, the best way to do this, and you can look it up on the internet, is to wipe the data cache and the system cache, and that involves using the up-down volume. When you turn it off, you hold the there's a little dance you do holding the various keys,
right?
And go into pure recovery mode, where you wipe everything. That will erase all the photos, all the data you put on there. Back them up. Just copy them to your computer. You plug in a USB charger to your computer and put it into MTP, which is a media transfer protocol that allows you to copy all that stuff onto your computer. And if you want to restore it, you can. You should do that anyway. You don't want to make this be your only copy of anything.
Oh, it isn't, but I took some pictures with this particular device, which I don't have in Picasa, because Picasa has all my camera pictures.
Yeah, save them before you do this. That will wipe everything out. But you want to do that.
Yeah,
you want to do that. It's a good tablet. It was cheap, $200, $225. It's given me great service. It's all the way up to date. In fact, I'm really pleased to see it's got a stage fright update just coming in right now. That is a cause for concern for a lot of Android users. But if you're using late model Android, you know, there's a lot of sensationalism in security reporting. This stage fright bug is a nasty bug. It means that somebody, if they really know what they're doing, can send you a malformed text message, an MMS message, a media message, that will, without your knowledge, take over your system. Then they'll give them full access to it, and they can put other software on there, get your information, that kind of thing. It is starting to happen in the wild, but it's a very difficult thing to do on the latest versions of Android, Android 4 or 5. And I don't believe that anybody's successfully done that on 4 or 5. The real problem is going to be the much older phones that probably will never get an update because the carriers and or manufacturers aren't supporting it. But the good news is LG, Samsung, and Google have all agreed to start doing monthly Windows-style updates for their phones. They're going to fix these stage fright bugs if they haven't already. If you're concerned about your Android device, the couple of things you can do: you can download a stage fright detector. There's 2 of them, one from Zimperium and one from Lookout. I would get both. They're both free. Run them on your system, and it'll tell you if you're vulnerable. If you are vulnerable, then disable MMS automatic receiving of MMSs. In Hangouts or your messaging app, you can do that. Turn off automatic reception of MMS. And then be very careful if somebody sends you an MMS. MMS is a SMS, a text message with media content. If you get one, make sure it's somebody you know and that you expect it, or it's reasonable for them to be sending you some media content. And turn down everything else. You should be all right. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Do you like magazines? I love magazines. In fact, I have kind of a little bit of a problem. I know why they put Us and People and Entertainment Weekly right there at the checkout counter, because you see the cover and you go, well, wait a minute. What happened between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie? And sometimes I'm ashamed to say we'll buy those magazines. Never again, because I found Next Issue. I love this. Now, okay, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you, I get Next Issue so I can read all the technology magazines to keep up on the latest technology. In fact, if you look at the catalog of magazines, they get all of the good ones, Wired and Macworld, and so I don't have to, I mean, I can say that that's what it's for. It's great because usually, be honest with you, there's 1 or 2 articles at best I want to read in any given thing. Subscribing to a whole magazine, I worry about the trees and blah. But this is great. With 1 flat rate subscription, it's kind of like Netflix for magazines. You get to read them all on your tablet or your phone. Nextissue.com/techguy. Nextissue.com/ all these magazines could be yours. And there's a lot of them. I do read the business magazines. I do. I read Forbes and Fortune and Consumer Reports. I read Money, but just 1 or 2 articles out of each. Occasionally I'll read a Vanity Fair or a GQ or an Us or a People or Rolling Stone. But it's beautiful, isn't it, to have all of those magazines available to you on your tablet. You can even automatically download them and read them on the plane without access to the internet. Read and roam with ease today. Nextissue.com/techguy. By the way, when you read these magazines, it's just like you're reading them, the same layout, same content. It's not turning it into a web page. There's a basic subscription, which gives you access to a whole bunch of great magazines, and there's a premium subscription, but don't worry about that. We're going to give you a 30-day free trial today, right now. It's the Next Issue. It's called nextissue.com/techguy. Nextissue.com/techguy. 30 days free. And look at all the stuff you get. I love it. Nextissue.com/techguy. You're going to love it. We thank them for their support of the podcast, too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Jim is next. Houston, Texas. Hey, Jim.
Hello, Leo.
Welcome to the show. What can I do for you?
Thank you. I was listening to one of your last week episodes.
Yeah.
And you were talking about security issues with Apple.
Yes.
And it raised
By the way, Apple pushed out a update to OS X this week, which I presume fixes all of those.
Well, but let me continue on. I have a real old iPad. And it's got version 5.1.1, and I can't update it.
Right, because it's very old.
Now, is this thing protected, or am I exposed? And since I use this on my network at the house, does it expose my network? All we really use this thing for now is to control Sonos. Because
you're fine. Don't worry about it.
New apps.
Don't worry about it. You're fine.
Okay. I do still get email over it.
Yeah, that's probably still fine, too. I mean, it's, of course, if you have an iPad 1, which is what you've got, Apple's not updating it anymore.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it's not that old, but there you have it.
It really made me mad at them.
Yeah. So we're up to iOS 8.4 now. Actually, 8.4.1, which came out this week, also updating some of those flaws. It's not clear if the flaws go back to iOS 5. My guess is they do. They usually do, but you can't always be sure.
They can't come in through this Apple and get into my network.
Well, you're on the network. That's how you can get email.
Yeah.
So that's on the network. You wouldn't be able to, you're on the internet. That's where your email's coming from. If you're not surfing around, I think you're probably, I'd have to look at what the issues were with iOS. I think you're fine. One of them was if somebody sends you a malformed text message. This sounds familiar, doesn't it? It can crash your machine. Nobody's sending you text messages on your iPad. I think you're safe there.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think you're especially considering that you're not surfing the net with it. You're not kind of using it in a general way. You're using it with one application, your Sonos. It makes a great Sonos remote control. I think that's a good way to use it. And getting your email. If that's all you're doing, you're fine. Be careful about opening attachments in your email and stuff like that. Make sure it's something you expect.
Well, I never read anything on it, on the email. It just gives me a notification that something came in.
Oh, all right. You're fine then. Yeah, I think you're fine.
Leo, thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, that's a little scary. I understand, and I'm a little miffed. We had a caller a couple of months ago who really needed his iPad, but he couldn't update it, so he couldn't use the latest versions of the software, because that's the other thing that happens. They all kind of conspire to make you update. The applications are rapidly coming out that say, well, you have to have iOS 7 or iOS 8 to work. And you can't update to iOS 8. Well, that means you can't use the app either. But that's a perfect use case. That thing is never going to break, that iPad. I mean, it's never going to break. It's all solid state. There's nothing to wear out. You'll have to drop it to break it. So why shouldn't you be able to continue to use it? The other thing, and this applies to both Android and iOS, you're going to hear about security issues. They're not as widespread as they are on desktop. Mobile operating systems are designed to be kind of isolate different programs and stuff. It's a lot harder to hack them in any significant way. I don't think you have to worry too much about it. I really don't. I think, especially in the environment you're using it in. Which isn't to say there aren't millions of people using iPad 1s right now out in the wild just as normal. And we're not hearing about vast numbers of people being hacked. A lot of these security alerts are, I mean, there's certainly something to pay attention to. If you can fix it, you absolutely should. But it's not necessarily shiver in your boots time. I think that we overstate the risk involved. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. Rock On is on from Riverside, California. Hey, Rock On.
Hello.
How are you?
You're wonderful. Not only are you brilliant, you're just so damn common. You talk so easy, but...
I'm cute, too, you know.
You do a great service. Thank you so much. And you're so funny. But anyway, I know that you'll
By the way, thank you, Rock On.
Well, it's true. I mean, you really, you know, it's like the world has gone talking Chinese, and you're the one telling us, no, this is what they said. This is
yeah. I feel like that has been part of my job for the last 20 years is to translate geek.
Yeah, I know, but you also translated freedom of speech, too, and I love the way you did that.
Thank you.
I understand all that, but I don't understand what's happened to me. I'm in a shiver-in-your-boots mode.
Uh-oh, what's the matter?
Well, someone who I don't trust, I emailed, I got an email from the person, and then I told them I wanted to have an address where I could mail something because I don't like
seeing him. You don't want to see him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So here's what happens. Within a few hours, that person's name and telephone number appears in my new Samsung 5 Android phone.
Appears where?
In my contacts in my cell phone.
Oh.
Now, I will say, this person has worked as an IT tech for some very, you know, like Lockheed, you know, has a lot of technical savvy. But I don't know how that happened.
Do you synchronize your contact list with somewhere else like Google Contacts?
No, I don't. No. I'm very, very
So you enter them in by hand into your phone when you get a new phone?
I just purchased a phone last month.
Do you have...
And they may have synchronized it.
Yeah, that's probably how it got there. Do you have a Google? Of course you do. You can't really use an Android phone without a Google account. You have one of those, right?
I do.
Yeah.
It consists only of 2 Gmails, which I really don't much use.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do. On your desktop computer, do you have a desktop computer?
I do.
Go to contacts.google.com. That's the contact list that Google has on the web that synchronizes with your phone. And I bet it's there. And if it is, delete it. Unless you
I understand.
Want to save his name and number, but I think you don't. Swipe left, baby.
Okay, you go into that.
Contacts.google.com. That shows your contacts.
I went there.
And that list is synchronized with your phone.
Okay, but it didn't bring up a list. It brought up my 2 Google Gmails.
Pick which one you use on the phone. That's because you have 2 of them. So it wants to know, which contact list do you want to go to? Use the one that...
I went in there, and there isn't anything. I already checked that out.
There's no contacts at all.
No, it isn't in there. In fact, I hadn't heard there was like a 7-year interval of not knowing that person's phone number or anything, and they're out of state.
No, yeah, but it will synchronize. So here's the thing. This is anytime you're using an Android device, it is synchronizing with your Google account, whichever Google account you use to sign into that device. What it synchronizes, whatever, it synchronizes your calendar, it synchronizes your contacts. It's kind of like a backup. But did you have an Android phone previously?
Yes, I did.
And his number was in that Android phone probably, because that was before he was a bad guy.
I don't remember. Honestly, I really don't. Okay, yeah.
Probably. And then it would synchronize from the old phone to the web and then back down to the new phone. That's one way numbers get on there. Another way, maybe he called you. Did he call you? If he called you, your caller ID would have shown his number. And if you have, there are various programs you can put on there like Facebook that would automatically populate the rest of it. I'm sure that's what happened. We'll talk more in a second. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hold on, rock on. Okay, we're off the air. We're on the podcast, though, so you're not completely anonymous. Just
Thank you.
a little warning for you. So
Yeah, I know. I was really like calling in. I am a little shivering in my boots.
yeah, I understand. Especially, you know, I get calls frequently. It's always from women about men. Very rarely does a guy call saying I'm being stalked by my ex-girlfriend. But it's unlikely that he has somehow hacked your phone.
Okay.
Much more likely that there's some program you're running like Facebook or something that's populating that information, or your Google contacts. Delete it on your phone. Delete that entry and go to your contacts and delete it. And
yeah, I did go down. I didn't find it in either of those.
It shouldn't come back. Once you delete it, it shouldn't come back. Some carriers even do this as a convenience. So Verizon, for instance, will synchronize your contacts, and it's easy to accidentally say yes to this. Samsung will do this. So this is probably what happened. It's very unlikely that he got into your phone and added his contact information.
What the thing is, I really appreciate hearing that from you. It was the timing also.
Yeah.
I emailed and asked for that, and within a few hours, then it was in there. And I was so mad that I just said, I emailed back and said, I sent a text saying you hacked it. You're going to have to be an honest person. Aren't I dumb? And then I deleted it. But I think that they have the capabilities to do that because of their,
No, he's an IT guy, but that's deep voodoo. Unless he has physical access.
I love you. See that? Deep voodoo.
It's deep voodoo. Unless he has physical access to your phone. Does he?
Yeah. AT&T said maybe they could go in address book. They said either the Google account too, or else there was a place called addressbookatt.net.
Yeah.
If you kind of hack
you're on AT&T. Yeah. So AT&T also synchronizes your contacts. So if he had, so here's some things. If he had physical access to your phone, if he knew your Google password, he could do that. Change your Google passwords. That's an easy thing to do. It's a good thing to do anyway.
Yes.
Turn on two-factor in Google if you can, because that really makes a big difference. That'll keep them out forever.
What is two-factor?
So two-factor is there are there's three ways you can authenticate that you are who you say you are. This is the most important feature of technology and money and everything is I can prove that I am Leo. And you do it in a couple of ways. You're used to using passwords. That's one way. That's something you know. Something you hold in your head, my password. But there's also, you can use something you have, something you physically have, like a card ID that you tap to the door. It could also be something you are, like your fingerprint or your iris. So there's three ways we can identify ourselves. Those are the three different factors. Two-factor means using two of those, which makes it more than twice as difficult to hack an account. So what we usually recommend is you've got a password to your Google account. You go into Google and you turn on two-factor. It means that you will then get sent a text message or you'll run a program called the Authenticator that will generate every 30 seconds a new 6-digit code. That's the something you have because you have to have your smartphone to do this. So then somebody, in order to steal your information, let's say your ex has your password, he wouldn't have your phone and your password.
I understand. Yeah, that really increases the security, and I can learn about that. Okay, you've told me enough.
If you Google two-factor,
I will.
You'll find there's a page. It'll explain it. They do a good job. You can turn it on. There's always inconveniences because it's every time you need. It's only the first time you enter your Google password on your phone. It's not a regular inconvenience. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So I talked off the air with Rock On, and I think we've figured it out and helped her. There's a few ways that people could, in fact, put their name and number on your phone. One would be if they had your Google password or the password to your contact list with your carrier, because oftentimes carriers will, as a convenience, synchronize your address book. If they had physical access to your phone, things like that. You're in a bar, you leave the phone on the bar, and that guy who's trying to pick up on you grabs it and puts his name and number in there, something like that. Because it was all of his contact information, I think she even said picture, it seems unlikely that it was just a caller ID. It seems more likely that one of these contact lists had his stuff left over in there. You know, you can even, and I do this, and probably people do this without thinking or without remembering, you can tell when you install Facebook on a smartphone, you could say, yeah, synchronize my contact list. And then if somebody's in your Facebook friends list, their contact information will also be added to your contact list, including picture, name, location, phone number. So there's lots of ways that this could accidentally be synchronized into it. A good synchronization system will, if you delete it in one place, delete it everywhere. So let's hope that that's what happens. And it's a good idea if you think that somebody might have access to your Google accounts, change your Google password. That's another good way to do it. Dale's on the line from Santa Maria, California. Hello, Dale.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I have a 6-month-old Dell that I believe is a rotten lemon.
There are lemon laws for computers.
There are? Oh, okay.
You're in California.
Hmm?
I think California is one of the states. You know, lemon laws originally were for cars.
Right.
And there was, you know, a certain number of repairs after which you would have to replace the car. Mm-hmm. So there are computer lemon laws, I believe. If you search for computer lemon laws, as I just have, you'll find a lot of attorneys trying to get your business. But I believe that, in fact, it says any consumer goods sold anywhere in the U.S. costing, you know, a significant amount of money, more than a few bucks, costing more than $25, are subject to the federal lemon law. That's the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act and the Consumer Protection Act. So now Dell does business out of Texas. So what qualifies this as a lemon? Have you had it in for a few times for repairs?
We have burned up the wires all the way to that foreign land several times, and we've talked to Steve. And
have they asked you to send it in?
No.
What's the problem?
For the phone service, and we have the Inspirion 23-inch touch screen.
Yeah, I love that. That's a nice device. What's the problem?
Well, it just won't stay stable. We have a local tech guy here who had worked for Vandenberg Air Force Base for several years, and, you know, he can launch rockets. He can fix a computer. And he does a great job, but after a day or two or three, it's back to wherever it was.
What happens to it? What do you say not stable? Is it crashing?
It isn't totally crashing, but programs just won't run.
Yeah. Sounds like maybe a bad hard drive. So here's the deal. You need to get Dell to take it back for warranty service. Is it still under warranty?
Yes, it is.
Good. So you just now, you're doing the free Dell service. That's why you're talking to India. Dell has gold. If you pay $50 or something, they have gold where you can actually talk to somebody in Austin or Round Rock where Dell is. What you really want to do, and you can escalate this with Steve, what you really want to do is say, look, I want to send this back. It's not opera. And they probably have you do things like restore it to its original state, right? You've done that?
We've done that about 3 times.
Yeah.
And do the diagnostic.
That's the first thing they do. And they say, well, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Exactly.
And that problem is you need to say, no, we've done this 3 times now. I need you to take this computer back and look at it. And they'll have you bring it to a depot, or they'll have you repack it and send it back. Because it's a couple of possibilities. The hard drive could just be bad. That's what it sounds like. Could be, but it could also be things that are hard to diagnose, which is why your rocket scientist may not notice this. And what we call an intermittent problem. It's not always crash. If you can say, look, I do this, this, and this, and it crashes, that's good. That's golden, because then it's reproducible. More often, though, especially with hardware issues, it's what we call intermittent. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. It's unpredictable. That's the most annoying, by the way, because you can be operating along and all of a sudden things stop working.
Right.
An intermittent problem could be bad memory. It could be a bad power supply. It could be a bad hard drive. Could be problems on the motherboard. There's a lot of places this could be a problem.
Is this a typical Dell problem?
No. In fact, I use Dell almost exclusively for Windows, and we have Dells in our finance office. And I, in fact, like that particular Inspiron that you have.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it's a lemon. It's as you say, and you know, It happens with anything that's any good, any complex, durable good, like a car or refrigerator or computer. From time to time, you get a lemon. And that's what the lemon laws are there to protect, that after a few times to get it fixed. If it's not fixed, I want a new one. You need to replace it. So it could be...
How do you feel about the all-in-one? I heard that they always run too hot.
Well, that could be a source of the problem. And if your fans aren't working properly, that could easily be causing intermittent crashes. What would happen if it's too hot is it would fail. But the heat could also then make something else not run reliably, like RAM, power supply, or hard drive. I don't think there's a design flaw in the 2300. I haven't heard about it.
Okay.
But it, you know, it got shipped to you, right?
Sure did.
Maybe the FedEx guy dropped it on his foot. There's all, you know, these things are really complex. In fact, I'm constantly amazed at how reliable computing has become. Because in the early days of computing, this was normal. This was, but this is not normal now. And Dell needs to stand by it. But unfortunately, you need to really pursue it. You need to get the guy to accept a return is what you need to do. Because it's, and even then you can have problems because, you know, it could go to the factory. An intermittent problem could get to the factory and it says, well, it works fine. I don't see a problem. And they'll send it back. Because it's not happening all the time, right?
Well, it is happening all the time.
Okay, but I mean, like, every time you turn it on?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So sometimes you turn it on, it works fine.
Correct. But about the third or fourth time, it's like, oh, okay,
yeah.
Now we can't get into that.
So it'd be just your luck that at the factory, the Dell guy turns it on and it works fine.
It will.
Right?
That's right.
Right? So I'm sure that your rocket scientist probably filled you in on all of this.
Yes, he did.
But you know, you could, if you wish, go to California Consumer Protection and try to get them to work for you. I would say I would start with Dell. Dell. Let me tell you this: I like Dell. They're a good company. They make good products. My my go-to laptop for Windows right now is a Dell, the XPS 13. So I don't think it's a general Dell issue. However, Dell, which used to have the best tech support in the business, like every other company, was forced, and it's kind of consumers, it's our fault, because we wanted cheap computers. And the cheaper and cheaper computers got, Dell had to start, and everybody has to start cutting corners. The first thing to go is good support. That's expensive. Every support call costs them $25 to $50. If the margin on that PC is $100, they're not making a profit on you already. So that's the problem. So that's why they outsource it to India and China and you know, Canada, and that's why you know, Dell used to be, you'd call somebody, you'd get somebody in Round Rock. They were famous for their support center, and you could still get that, but you have to pay for it because they've basically unbundled support. That's how they got the cost down to, you know, under $500. That's how they do it.
I see. Were they primarily, or as of today, are they primarily a school supplier?
No, not at all. It's primarily business. You'll see Dell's in business. My entire business office runs Dell's desktops and laptops. They've been around for a long time. They're one of the, I think they're still one of the best manufacturers out there. So I don't think that you've found a system problem, a systemic problem. But you did definitely have a lemon, and you're going to have to fight, unfortunately, to get it fixed. Because, you know, you got to convince them that this is not something I'm doing. The problem is, you got to understand, most IT technicians and support technicians are conditioned to the fact that 80 or 90% of the calls they get are the fault of the person calling. And so that's their assumption right out of the gate. Oh, you did something stupid. They even have a term for it. PEBCAC. Problem exists between keyboard and screen. Computer, what is it? Computer and keyboard. It's you! So they're assuming that. It's not the case. So you got to press. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I get that wrong. PEB. Problem exists between chair and computer. There it is. Thank you. Chair and keyboard. That's what it is. Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here. The tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet. Home theater. Digital photography. Smartphones. Smartwatches. All that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. If it's got a chip in it, call me. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can chat with us. You can get information about everything we talk about, even audio and video of the show after the fact at our website, techguylabs.com. Now, we were talking with our last caller of the hour, last hour, about the problems he's having with his Dell. And, you know, it's hard to prove that the problem is Dell's problem or any computer manufacturer's problem. Computers, as you know, are hideously complex devices. And it's the hardware, it's the software, it's the operating system. That's at least 3 different parties that could be at fault. Oh, let's add one more. Most of the time when tech support people talk to consumers, users, the problem is with the user. So that's 4 different things that can go wrong. Tech support people are terrible. They have, I mentioned before the break, and I got it wrong. I want to get it right. They have all sorts of ways of kind of signaling that they're not happy with you. One phrase that geeks use amongst each other is PEBCAK, P-E-B-C-A-K. Problem exists between chair and computer, or chair and keyboard. Who could that be? That's me. Apparently, another one is you got the ID10T error. In the service, sometimes they say ID10 Tango or 1 Delta 10 Tango. ID10T is kind of like IDIOT. Kind of a lot like. They're blaming you. Now, I've said for years, my motto has been, it was on my TV show, it was my motto, and I stand by it. It's not your fault. It's not, and the sad thing is computer users usually think it is. Don't you? When something goes wrong with your phone or your computer or the internet, first thing is, oh, I'm doing it wrong. Then you yell at AT&T or Comcast. But the first thing is, I'm doing it wrong. Actually, I think that's starting to change, isn't it? I think we know now who to blame. But I would submit it is never your fault, because even if you are making a mistake or doing it wrong, that's poor design on the part of the manufacturer or the designer or the software guy. A design should lead you to do the right thing. And there's a wonderful book, The Design of Everyday Things, by a guy named Donald Norman. He's a user interface guru. I mean guru in the truest sense of the word. People bow down to him and offer him fruit because he's great. And he points out that, you know, the design of everyday things should point you in the right direction, should facilitate you in interacting with them appropriately. And the problem we see often is that user interface and hardware design is done by engineers for engineers, not for normal people. Most of us aren't engineers. And so there's often a disconnect between how stuff is designed and how we would like it to be designed. That's why, frankly, I still have a job. I still have to explain this stuff because it isn't. And so don't blame yourself. It isn't your fault. Even if you were doing something wrong, it's often case because the user interface or the hardware kind of led you to do that. A logical person looking at this Norman uses as an example a door with a handle that you're supposed to push open. The handle implies pull, right? So they have to put a sign up that says push because the handle is telling you pull. There's lots of examples like that once you start seeing it in the real world. The cover of the book is great. It has a teapot with a spout over the handle. And if you think about it, there would be no way a user could pour a cup of tea from that without burning himself or herself. So I think we have great strides to make still in user design and interface design. And you shouldn't blame yourself if it were easier to use. If they made it easier to use, you wouldn't have this problem. And in this case, the caller's case, it was clearly not his fault at all. It was an issue with hardware. I'm just explaining why sometimes it's hard to get companies to respond because so much of what they see, they think they blame on users. That's just commonplace in tech support. And they shouldn't. They need to stop thinking that. But, you know, experience tells them time and time again. Is it plugged in? Have you... Okay, get under the desk, look to see Is the plug? Oh, it's not plugged in. Well, that's why it's not turning on. 8888 ask Leo. I shall never blame you. I absolutely. It's not your fault. Michael in Arizona. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Michael. Michael, come over here, Michael. See, this is my fault because I just talked on and on and on, and Michael has either passed out or wandered off. What? Are those wind chimes? Is he playing me a tune? Is Michael an alien and this is how he speaks? Perhaps this is it. Maybe it's my fault I don't understand the meaning being communicated to me at this moment. What do you think, Kim Schaffer? Is he speaking to me?
I don't know what that is.
All right, I'll tell you what.
Is it an ice cream truck?
I don't know. I'll put him on hold and go to the next call. And you might just check in and see if he's alive. He may have just fallen over. Sometimes that happens. We had a caller who is a regular in our chat room, but I won't mention her name. I picked up on her, and she was snoring. She'd fallen asleep. Robert, you're awake, right?
I'm awake.
Oh, thank goodness.
You,
Robert in Long Beach.
Yeah. Hey, I want to thank you for being the IT department for so many entrepreneurs. I tell you, I listen to your show almost on a weekly basis, and if it wasn't for you, I'd be lost 90% of the time.
Well, it's thank you, and it's one of the things that really makes, I think, makes this country unique, is the number of innovators and entrepreneurs who are, working, whether it's out of their garage or a small office, who are just trying to invent something and make something new. And man, it's an amazing, fertile environment we're in. So I'm glad if I can help you, that's my pleasure.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And so here's my question and quandary. I have this printer that I absolutely love. It's an all-in-one printer made by Brother. The thing's about 5-6 years old. No, I guess actually it's probably about 8 years old now. And the challenge is Brother doesn't support Windows 8 or Windows 10 software updates with this, because I think the things are built like tanks, and one way to get you to buy a new machine is just not offer new, firmware updates.
This gets me. We were just talking about this with the iPad 1. That thing is perfectly good, is never going to wear out, but Apple won't support it.
Exactly. And so I can do basic printing with it, but I can't do scanning. So I can't scan with the machine.
Okay.
So I have to purposely keep a couple machines in my office on the Windows 7 just so I can use my printer.
Now, it's possible that you can just, instead of using the driver that comes with Windows for the scanning, you can get a third-party program that will work even on Windows 8 and Windows 10. There are third-party scanning programs that might solve this problem. I mean, what you want is a driver that Brother would make that would make it all work.
Exactly.
But there are some really good... The one I usually recommend is from Hamrick, HAMRICK.com. It's called ViewScan. You might... I'm sure they're up to date... Let me see, but I'm sure they're up to date for Windows 8 and 10. They work with most printers. I don't know if they work with Brother, but you might check. And if not, there are other third parties that might work too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah. You need a Taiwan driver. So that's one thing to do. And I'd hate for you to have to just continue to use Windows 7 forever.
Yeah, exactly.
But you might want to do that just so...
And I hate to go out and buy a new printer when there's nothing wrong with mine. I mean,
I understand. This is kind of a conundrum for everybody. Because remember, it's not Microsoft's fault. Because Microsoft, they want to continue to update. And Brother is the one who's decided, but it may not even be Brother's fault. Well, we don't, there's 4,000 users.
No, but they make printers exactly like mine today.
Right.
that are very similar, and I'm sure they could push the updates out, but they choose not to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really tempted when this happens to blame the company that's doing it and just say, yeah, they want to capitalize. They want to make more money. They want you to buy a new printer.
Yeah, yeah.
Although that's going to backfire on them because the last thing you do is buy another printer from Brother.
Another Brother printer.
You're not going to buy another Brother. Yeah. So that's kind of maybe not the right way to do it, Brother, if you're listening. My suggestion would be see if you can get a third-party scanning program to work. Have you already installed Windows 8.1?
Yeah, I've got, well, like I said, I have 2 machines in my office that I keep on Windows 7 just so I can use my scanner.
So try this view scan. See if it works on 8.1 with your scanner. It might.
Okay.
What it is a Twain driver. It's a non-Brother driver, but that often works with standard scanning hardware.
Okay.
Worth a try anyway.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Take care. Bye-bye.
You have a good day.
You too. Or CUPS, a generic PostScript driver. Sometimes that works. But he wants to scan, Mike. So it's not that he can't print. He wants to scan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. Let's get back to the phones. And Michael, who's in Arizona. Hi, Michael.
Hello, Leo.
Oh, you can help me now. Are those wind chimes in the background?
Correct.
They were beautiful. We listened to them for a little while, Michael. I quite enjoyed it.
Greetings from a graduate of the U.S. Navy Electronics Technician School on Treasure Island in 1970.
Wow. They're no longer on TI, I'm sad to say, but that must have been a fun place to be. What a beautiful view of the city you have.
It was great.
Yeah. Well, good. You know all of the secrets. I got to ask you, though. I've always been told that in the military manuals, there is some sort of operation that involves slapping the equipment. Is that true?
If that did not work, you threw it overboard.
Well, you have an advantage in the Navy. You can do that, can't you?
Yes, you can.
What can I do for you, Michael?
I was invited to take on Windows 10 the first day.
Yes.
I did so.
Good.
That computer is a HP Pavilion G7.
Okay.
A second computer, I chose to rush it before I heard you on Saturday.
Oh, you rushed it. Yeah.
And that one gives me a hard time to the point to where it will not even display what is going on unless I disconnect the power cord. So I'm considering doing...
I think percussive maintenance is in order.
I've tried everything.
So how did you force it? Did you go to a Microsoft site, download the ISO, and do that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the reason you didn't... Now, I presume you didn't get an invitation on that second computer, right?
Correct. It's a newer computer.
Yeah, but the reason you didn't get the invitation is exactly what you're discovering. In my opinion, Microsoft didn't yet think it was compatible. And a newer computer, you would think, well, if the older computer worked fine, but, you know, maybe the video card, it sounds, in fact, like it is the video card, isn't compatible. Can you see the screen at all? Can you get the screen up at all?
Only if I unplug the power connection.
Okay, now I'm nervous. You're unplugging the screen?
Unplugging the power.
Oh, it's a laptop.
Adapter. Yes.
Oh, thank God. Okay. I thought it was haunted. Oh, okay. It's a laptop, so it has a battery. And when you unplug it, the screen works?
Correct.
That makes no sense.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, you're trained in this stuff. You thought that doesn't make sense.
I'm considering pulling out my full version of 8.1, which I purchased.
Well, you shouldn't have to. So the first thing you want to do is hit Windows key I and go to the recovery section of the control panel. And there should be an entry there that says roll back to Windows to the previous version.
Windows.
What was the previous version? Windows 7?
No, it was the
It was
8.1.
Okay. So there should be an entry that says, and you have 30 days to do this, roll back to Windows 8.1. Try that. There may even be, and there was on my Dell, an entry that says restore to factory state or restore to original factory state. And that is actually what saved me on the Dell laptop, because I did that. It went back just as if it had come from the factory to Windows 8.1. Because I was having driver issues, and it wouldn't activate. And after a couple of days, I said, uh-oh. I forced it. Don't force it. If it don't fit, don't force it. They taught you that, too, in naval school, right?
Correct.
So I forced it, and so I said, I'm going to roll back. The minute I rolled back, I guess whatever was, the Dell said, oh, you're eligible for Windows 10. Would you like to do that now? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I would. And then everything installed. You heard me tell this story last week, I gather, including all the drivers. It activated immediately. It had the Dell software that came with the original Dell, the update software and all that stuff. So I think what happened in this case was Microsoft was waiting for Dell to get all the bits together and create a special version just for that machine. Once they did, Microsoft popped up the banner, and I installed, and everything was fine. So go into your recovery. You can even type the Windows key and start typing recovery. You'll go right into the recovery control panel and roll back to either Windows 8.1, or if you've got an option to go back to the factory state, go back and do that, because it came with 8.1, right? Unless you blasted the recovery partition off of there, you should be able to do that. And then wait. Be patient. That's my advice to everybody, which was, if you aren't being offered Windows 10, don't get impatient. Just wait. Now, the chat room has all sorts of theories about why it works when it's plugged in or not. Like, maybe the laptop is going into presentation mode when it connects the power and blah, blah, blah. But that's not germane. If it's not working right, best thing to do is wait. Could be there are hibernation issues or sleep issues. Somebody's suggesting Windows key I system. That loads that nice menu. That's a nice menu to get to, by the way. Remember that Windows key I. You'll get a pop-up system menu. And then he's suggesting uncheck adjust my screen brightness automatically. It doesn't sound right, but I'm just passing it along. If you've got other suggestions, techguylabs.com is the place to go. That's where we put all the questions and all the answers. And you can add your own thoughts to it. techguylabs.com. More of your calls right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Victor on the line from Camarillo, California. Hi, Victor.
Hey there. How's it going, Leo?
It's going great. How are you?
Not too bad. Just baking here in the heat.
Yeah. What's it like right now in Camarillo?
It's almost 90.
Why, that's nothing. When I was a lad, you could fry an egg on the sidewalk. I just saw a BuzzFeed bit where the guy baked cookies in his front windshield of his car on his dashboard.
Oh,
that's hot.
That's hot.
That's hot. It took them 4 hours, but they baked eventually. What can I do for you?
I've got a Verizon Droid Turbo that I purchased a couple days before my daughter's graduation from Cornell.
Nice. Congratulations. Great school.
Thank you. We're really proud of her.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got a bunch of photos and videos on it the first day. Second day, same thing, just different ceremony. But when I went to plug the phone in the following morning, it would not come on. And it turns out about half the pictures made it up to the cloud service.
Yeah.
And the other half with the other photos and videos, I cannot retrieve from that phone. Verizon was no help. They just gave me a new phone.
Yeah.
Is there like a third-party service that will crack this thing open and hopefully pull this stuff out, or am I out of luck?
No, there is, but it'll cost you.
In Southern California?
Well, the one I'm thinking of, and probably others, is Drive Savers. They've been known for years for doing. They're actually up my way. They've been known for years for doing this on hard drives, and they've just added smartphone recovery.
Oh, excellent.
But boy, it's going to be a challenge because you nailed it. You got to crack it open and get the chip in the Droid Turbo.
Right.
And read it. Now, that means that they have to have the right technology tools to do it. There might be somebody near you, but what's happened is a lot of these drive recovery companies have started to work on solid state because that's where we're all headed, isn't it? And once you start solving the problems on solid state hard drives, then it's not such a big leap to do flash drives in other situations. However, I'm not sure I'd hold out hope. Depends how it's failed. If all that happened is that the phone failed or the operating system failed, then the memory should still be there. The storage should still be there.
I am hoping so, because I was getting used to the phone. It was only 2 days old, and I like the feature of waving my hand over it in the clock.
I love that. Motorola's got some great little side things, and the little wrist flip to launch the camera and things like that are awesome.
Exactly. It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping the memory part of it is still
might well be.
It's just not turning off.
What Verizon does is what everybody does, which is just assume the thing is lost. They don't even try. They don't even look at it. They don't even try to fix it.
Well, they spent about half an hour in the back. I don't know if they were looking at it or just having coffee.
Having a donut. No, they tried to turn it on, but they can't. It's not really user serviceable. So almost always is what they're really looking for is to see if you damaged it by dropping or getting it wet. There's a little strip in there, paper, that will turn color if you get it wet. So they open it up, they look, see if that thing turned blue, and then they look for signs of physical flaws, because those will let them off the hook. Then they can say, "Oh, you dropped it," but they found none of that. It was brand new, and they go, "Okay, I guess we have to give them a new phone," because these things do fail. There's a mortality rate that is
2 days though.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about all solid state hardware. If it doesn't fail right away, it's going to go forever. But
my second phone is going forever.
Yeah, and this new one you got probably will too. I have a Droid Turbo. It's been really reliable, robust. I got it the day it came out. So no, this is all technology has a certain amount. I hate to use this phrase, but infant mortality of, it'll fail out of the box. But if it lasts a month, remember in the old days, there was a term called burn-in. In the old days of computers, they would take a new computer, they would put it in a hot room and run it hard for several days to make it fail. And if it didn't fail, then they'd say, all right, you can have it. They don't do that anymore.
No, I used to build equipment that tested the chips for Intel.
Oh, you know about this.
In a shock chamber. Oh, yeah. It would go from -70 up to 150 every 15 minutes. So
right.
If something can survive that, no problem.
Exactly. Well, everything in that phone of yours is solid state. The only moving part is the ringer, the buzzer, the vibrator. Everything else is solid state. And so just like those chips you were testing, if it doesn't fail out of the box, if it doesn't fail in extremes, then it's probably just going to go forever.
Right.
So, but the good news is there's a lot of things that could fail and still the photos would still be there. But they have to have the equipment, much like the equipment you designed, to read it.
Right. Exactly. And anywhere local in Southern California?
I don't know off the top of my head. But I think if you look for data recovery, you probably find a few of them. Let me ask the chat room, anybody he's in Camarillo, anywhere in that area that you know of? Because it'd be nice to bring it in, wouldn't it, as opposed to mailing it?
Sure.
Yep.
But if I have to mail it, that's fine too.
Yeah, call Drive Savers. Drive Savers is a funny company. I've known the guys who run it for a long time. They're great people. And they're the first drive recovery service to hire a grief counselor. And if you think about it, that's probably a good thing because, boy, these are pictures of your daughter's graduation. You don't want to lose those.
I was crying that day.
Yeah.
I got half of them, but the other half mainly are the videos.
Oh, man.
And it's like, oh, bummer. That's not exactly what I was saying, but...
Yeah, I know. A stronger word, but yeah. There's no guarantee. They gave you the phone back.
How
did Verizon give you the phone back? They gave the old phone back?
Yes, I demanded the old phone back.
Good for you. Usually they don't.
Well, I bought it through Costco.
Oh, okay.
Theirs to do.
Have you tried, just off the top of your head, have you tried connecting it via USB cable?
Yes.
Okay.
Into my laptop, and nothing. Nothing came up as far as recognizing anything.
Somebody in the chat room says, contact other parents. I bet you there's lots of video of that ceremony. That's a good point. Nowadays, nothing goes unrecorded, does it? It's all it's all captured. I feel sorry for historians in a few hundred years hence. They will have a vast... They've gone from knowing nothing to knowing everything. Way too much. I'm sorry. Boy, that's frustrating. But yes, the good news is it may well be recoverable, but the bad news is it may cost you a lot of money.
What are you thinking?
Well, Drive Savers can charge thousands of dollars for hard drive recovery. I call them 800-440-1904. 800-440-1904 and ask. They'll tell you. I don't think they'll be too cagey. Say Leo said you would tell me. They'll say, well, we don't know until we do it. Well, give me some range of that. How hard it's going to be, that kind of thing. And I wish you luck. That's terrible. And I do, by the way, put all of my stuff, have the Google upload to photos.google.com, and I turn that on. It's free. It's unlimited storage. And when I travel, that's a great boon, because even if I lost everything, at least it'll be backed up to the Google Cloud. And it does it pretty quickly. As you say, you got it back to the first half backed up, the second half didn't. 8888 Ask Leo, the Giz Wiz, our gadget guru, coming up. Stay here. He had a Droid Turbo. The phone failed. And he has some pictures on it he wants to save. Yes. Our show today brought to you by Blue Apron. You know, the Blue Apron is cool. It's the name comes from the blue apron that the apprentice chefs at the Cordon Bleu cooking school in Paris wear. And it's very appropriate because, I think people will subscribe to Blue Apron for a variety of reasons. But a lot of us have come away becoming much better cooks because of it. So what is Blue Apron? Well, it's a service that delivers the fresh ingredients for a luscious meal to your door for less than $10 a meal. You always get exactly what you need and not more, so there's no waste. And you also get incredible step-by-step instructions that come on coated cardstock suitable for framing or putting in a notebook. And you'll be cooking delicious, healthy meals before you know it. No more shopping after you get off work. Who wants to do that? Come home, and you'll be cooking amazing meals. Go to blueapron.com/twit. You can get your first 2 meals free. You can also browse around and see what's on the menu. Amazing stuff. And by the way, they never repeat, so you'll never get the same meal twice. But, by the time you cooked it once, you probably know how. Meals like seared pork chops and comet with corn, spinach and stone fruit cherry tomato salsa. Wow, I'll take it. Heirloom tomato and fontina grilled cheese sandwiches with Dijon dressed summered vegetables. There they are. Does that not look fabulous? That's an easy one, right? They put the cooking time right on there, the calories, and you get these amazing foods. They even have videos that will teach you how to cook so that once you've done it, you'll know. By the way, all the recipes and all the videos are available for free at the site. blueapron.com/twit. Delicious meals. Not pre-cooked, not frozen. Fresh ingredients ready for you to cook. I like to cook. I just don't like to shop. And so these incredible meals. Here's the pork chops. Seared pork chops. Oh, and camet. And look at that salsa. Love it. Oh, and this is what you get in the box, by the way. They have family plans, too, for larger gatherings and kid-friendly ingredients. You can all prepare it together. I think teaching a kid to cook is probably probably the single most important thing you could teach a kid. how to cook so they don't have to eat it in and out every day. BlueApron.com/twit. Your first 2 meals are free. We thank Blue Apron for their support of the Tech Guy Show. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Time for the Giz Wiz. Dick DeBartolo, you know that name. He's one of Mad Magazine's most famous writers. And he joins us every week to talk about gadgets, because it turns out he's also really into gadgets. That's what we call him. The Giz Wiz. Hi, Dickie D.
Yes. How are you, sir?
I am very well.
Yes. Well, you know, I have a gadget. You are the only person I know who bought the original of this gadget from this company.
Oh, dear.
Do you remember purchasing for almost $100 the Ostrich pillow?
I have it on my wall as if somebody shot it.
Yeah. It was
Might
like
have been me.
the most bizarre idea for a travel pillow. You pull it over your head, then there's like a porthole that you look out of, and then there are places to stick your arms. And as
you
a travel
look like
pillow,
a complete idiot. But the plan,
yes,
the plan is that you would wear this at work or on the plane and be able to sleep. Well, one of the problems I had was mine sprung a leak almost right away. So,
well, wait, what were you doing with it?
Well, I was probably throwing it around.
Problem. Yeah, I think you were wearing it on the wrong part of the body.
I just
the
felt
head goes in there.
Yeah, I just. Oh, really?
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's a revelation. I just felt like an idiot wearing it. That's really the problem.
Yeah, and as a travel pillow, that would be your suitcase. It is so big.
It's rather large. I'm sure it's comfy.
Well, anyway, I think they've come up with something a little bit better, and it is the Ostrich Mini.
Oh,
okay. So it is way smaller. There you go. So basically, you can put your hand in it, and then kind of wear it as a glove. And if you have a window seat or in a car or a bus or a train, you just lean against it. It has little micro beads in it, so it does feel comfortable.
It is comfortable. So you don't have to put your head in it this time.
No. It's very. I bought one.
They're only $25.
It's only $25, and on my website I have a link. I found a place that sells it for under $12.
Now you're talking.
Now you're talking. Also, you can put your arm all the way through it if you're one of the people who can actually sleep on their arm. Now you will sleep.
I do sleep on my arm.
Pillow on your
pillow arm. Oh.
Yeah, and it's way smaller. So it's a lot more convenient, a lot more economical. And believe it or not, on Amazon, they have knockoffs for like $20, but they still, if you prefer the original, for $99.
You're mocking me on your website for spending $90 on it.
No, I said I said that you were the first to buy it.
Was it really $90?
You know what, Leo? I think you did Kickstarter.
I am an idiot.
I think it was Kickstarter, and you wanted to back them.
I wanted to support them because, gosh knows, I don't know. Leo's an idiot. So don't go to the Ostrich Pillow website which is ostrichpillow.com.
It's still $25. It's still $25 there. But if you go to gizwiz.biz and click on the Tech Guy, you'll see there's a company I've not bought at this place called Focus Price, but they said it's $11.39 with free shipping. It's not an Amazon deal at all. But
and then there are these knockoffs, which seems
yes. Look, you can get the original
$90 pillow, only $19.
Right, from a different company,
from
obviously.
The Leeward Comfortable. They misspelled. They misspelled comfortable. Okay, the original is now $100.
Still $100.
Still $100. I can't imagine they sell a lot of those at $100.
No, I think the Ostrich Pillow Mini is the way to go.
Yeah. They also have the Light Sleepy. I don't know what the light is. So there you go. Go to gizwiz.biz and you can get your very own ostrich pillow for a lot less than Leo paid for his.
You're a pioneer.
And while you're there, play the What the Heck Is It contest for a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. All you have to do is identify You know what's unfortunate about this Ostrich pillow? It just doesn't work very well with headphones.
No, it gives you a certain air of stupidity.
I am not an animal. Gizwiz.biz. Oh, incidentally, you've got to support Dick's show because I've cut him loose. And so if you like Dick, and who doesn't, go to gizwiz.tv. That's the new Gizwiz podcast home, gizwiz.tv. And you know, for the cost of an ostrich pillow, you could support Dick for years to come.
Yes, exactly.
Gizwiz.tv, gizwiz.biz for the What the Heck Is It contest. Thank you, Dickie D.
Thank you, sir. You're very kind.
Now I have to figure out a way to take this pillow off and still do my show. All right. Did you, Chris, it's the radio. So I was going to say, did you see that I put my arms in here? But of course you saw nothing. But you probably can hear the rustling. It's also a little fragrant. I think my dog has been sleeping in the ostrich pillow. Our show today brought to you by those great folks at Carbonite Online Backup. You know what? If you have data, and I'm sure you do, like, I don't know, your college kids' graduation videos, you don't want to lose it. I don't want you calling me crying because you lost your data. And what if you're in business, oh man, let's say there's a fire, a flood, or somebody breaks in and steals your stuff. If they steal your backups, you're out of business. No customer list, no accounts receivable. What are you going to do? That's why you need Carbonite. Carbonite, whenever you're online, it's backing up and you never have to worry about buying more. You pay once a year for unlimited backup, Mac or PC, home or office. I love Carbonite. You know, I talk about it all the time because then if everybody would do it, I wouldn't have those calls. And it makes me sad. I want you to have your data. I don't want you to be out of business. Carbonite.com. Use my name, Leo. You'll get 2 free months with purchase. You got to back it up to get it back. So do it right with Carbonite. All right, let me peer out of my ostrich pillow. I really spent $100 on this thing? Seems like a bad idea. Take our next call. In Vacaville, California, Rob is on the line. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Leo. Good to talk to you.
Uh-oh, you have a Windows 10 disaster, it says here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What happened?
Well, to put it, I'll try to make it short. I was invited to upgrade, so I waited. I was a good listener.
Good.
I did the Windows upgrade, and I got an error message, and it was too quick to write down, but it had the word kernel in it. So
yeah, no, it's called a kernel panic. It's not. You're right. It's a crash. It's a hard crash. But again, as I said at the beginning of the show, these error messages are useless. I don't know why they should just say, "I'm terribly sorry, but something has gone awfully wrong, and we're just going to have to restart."
Right. But I couldn't roll back. I couldn't roll forward. No operating system there. I put in the Windows 7 install disk to start from scratch. I got an error on that, but there was a missing DVD driver.
Okay. So now what I think has happened is, and it's coincidental, is your hard drive died right in the middle of it. Because you should be able to install Windows 7. Can you boot to a Windows 7 install disk?
Well, that's what I was trying to do. I Googled it, and it said that sometimes with a motherboard RAID, you get these problems.
Oh, you're a RAID. Oh, you're a RAID array.
Yes.
Oy, oy, oy. Oy, oy, oy.
I know. It gets worse.
There's more?
Anyway, there is more. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. What else? I only have a minute for your tale of woe.
I played around with the BIOS. I got Windows to install.
Oh, good.
But there's a whole bunch of drivers missing. I can't get on the Internet. I tried downloading a driver from using another computer, and then the drivers say, well, these drivers don't work on a Windows 64-bit system.
Oy.
Is this a good time for me to get a Mac?
The problem, you nailed it, is that you have a RAID array. That means you have 2 disks or more posing as one.
Right.
And the problem with that is it makes them less reliable. And I think that's what's happened is your RAID array has failed. At this point, you might even be installing on a single drive. This is a good one if you feel ambitious for just kind of, as best you can, going back to scratch. And if you can't, bring it into a shop. I don't think this is Windows 10's fault. I think this is just a bad install. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.